Hi, welcome everyone. We've all seen amazing water pictures where the water is super smooth and flowy, or the opposite, where it appears to be frozen in time. I'm sure you've wondered, just as I have, how those photographers do that. Today, we're going to be examining some of those techniques so that your water shots come out looking just as good or better than the pictures that you've seen. Now, I've always found that the best way for me to learn is by trying things. So for today's video, it would be awesome if you had a camera handy so that you can play with these settings while we go through them. Step 1, find a good subject. In the case of water shots, oftentimes the creek or the river is the focus, but a good shot needs more than just the subject. You want something interesting in the background as well. This can oftentimes be a creek with a mountain behind, or trees and logs in the picture. Those can be good as well. You could also use flowers, or I've even used stones in the creek to be the primary subject of your picture. Step 2, set up a tripod, or don't. If you have very steady hands and you aren't using that long of a shutter, then shooting handheld could be just fine. I use this simple little mini tripod for longer exposures, but I recently purchased a legit tripod, so I'll probably be using that moving forward. This little tripod was awesome though. I got it as part of a kit. And it's super lightweight, so it's great for like taking on hikes and stuff. And it just adds a little bit of stability especially for this type of setting. But moving forward, I'm probably going to be using my legit tripod. Step 3, time to start playing with different settings. This is the fun part. The general rule here is the longer you leave the shutter open, the smoother the water will be. However, having the shutter open for longer will affect the amount of light that gets into your photo. So a longer shutter time means that your ISO will probably need to be 100 and your f-stop will likely need to be high as well. All of this is dependent on the conditions that you're shooting in, of course. If you're shooting in bright conditions like I am today, then you won't be able to have your shutter open for too long because the image will get overexposed and blown out. So, put your camera in manual mode and start with your shutter at 1/25th of a second. Put your ISO at 100 and your f-stop at 22. Focus on your subject, which for me is usually the water, unless I'm focusing on flowers in front or something like that. And take your picture. Try moving your focus to something else in the frame and see how that affects the shot. Now, if your picture did not turn out the way you wanted it and it's too bright, then try turning the f-stop up or the ISO down if you have any room to go down on your ISO. If you're maxed out on both of these, then you need to set your exposure for a shorter amount of time. Generally, the longer you have your shutter open, the smoother the texture from the water. Now in these two pictures, you can see the difference between 1/25th of a second exposure and 1/6th second exposure. The 1/6 is much smoother and milky compared to the 1/25th exposure. Now if I had taken the 1/6 exposure on the same picture, it would have been blown out by being overexposed, which leads me to step 4. Step 4 is apply a darkened ND filter to allow you to shoot longer exposures. This is a common trick used by many photographers to get the desired look when needing to take longer exposures in bright environments. Slap a darker ND filter on your lens and you should be able to take a longer shot. I haven't done a whole lot with ND filters. I definitely know that that is a that is a trick that lots of people use if you're trying to get a longer exposure, to get that really milky texture in the water, and it's a bright day just like today is, and you just can't get it, then put an ND filter on your lens, darken it up, and it should help significantly. Step 5. Now, what about if I want to get the other type of shot, where I freeze the water in place? How do I do that? Well, for that, we just take your settings, go to 1/400th second exposure, try f7.1 or something somewhere around there, and ISO 100. Now, shooting here, you should see the water frozen in time. This is a shot I took of a waterfall, a fast-moving waterfall. So the water was moving super fast, and I managed to capture all the water droplets in the air. This was a 1/4000th second exposure at f2.8, and the ISO was 1000. Now, I can compare that shot to the 1/400th second exposure. You can see that the 1/4000th exposure is super fast. It really freezes the water droplets, whereas the 1/400th exposure allows the creek to look a little bit more natural, in my opinion. It isn't as frozen in time, but it definitely has that type of character. Now, one of the things that you need to pay attention to when looking for these types of shots are branches or twigs that are moving in the water. Anything that's moving will look blurry in your picture, and it won't match what the water is doing because it'll probably be moving at a different speed. This is the exact shot that I took where I learned that lesson. I was shooting this creek when we were camping over by Crestone, and this was one of the first pictures that I took trying to get water shots. I'd watched a video on YouTube, just like you are, about how to get awesome water shots, and I was trying some of those settings, and I took this picture, and at the time I thought it looked fantastic, but once I blew it up on my iPad, I could really see the detail. That was when I figured out that that branch right in the front was moving at a different speed from the water, but it was definitely moving, and it got super blurry in the picture. So that's just something to look out for. Be careful when you're looking for these types of pictures. When you're taking these types of pictures, it's important to make sure that you don't have anything else moving especially in the front part of your picture. Now for step 6, get out there and try these settings. See what you can do. The best way to learn is by doing. And like I tell my students, failure and setbacks are all part of the process. So get out there, try some of these techniques, and see what you learn. It'd be awesome if you came back and tell me how you did. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please consider liking and subscribing for more, and I'll see you in the next one.